Hey guys, it's Sean from the Random Tangent. It's just going to be me this week, and the issue for this video on Deep Talks is Article 13, aka known as the meme ban, going around the EU right now. Uh, September 12th in the morning, they changed the original versions of Article 11, Article 13. Both of those have nicknames. Article 11 being the link tax, and Article 13 the meme ban. They just changed both of those into something that they saw they fit the law, and they passed it. It's not officially law yet until January 2019, which is coming up in a few months here. But the point of this bill was to update copyright law for just kind of the internet age, because social media is kind of blowing up, and this is the EU's attempt to kind of regulate that in some sense. And it's pretty big news, because while I do agree that maybe some regulation should be in place, being from America, it's very taboo to anything restricting speech at all, and something like this would never take place here. But it's just very interesting seeing how the EU, this countries that you view with a lot of liberal freedom, is actually going to pass something like this. I mean, maybe it's not a negative thing, not yet, but there's a lot of debate what's going to happen with this. But basically, like I said, the point of it is just copyright law for the new internet age on social media platforms. So, dropped in here in Dusty, my favorite spot. It's kind of I didn't hear much about this until recently when we were talking about topics for this week's video. I was either going to do Bigfoot, this, or I was going to do I hear someone. I think he's on the other side of this wall. Or the Catholic Church thing, which is the kind of the darkest video, because you know about those Catholic priests. Where is this guy? I really can't tell. Woohoo! That was close. I knew I heard him. I just could not place him. I don't like this. I don't like this, guys. He kind of dinged me for a few. Alright. But anyway, so originally Article 11, it was saying, I have quotes here, such firms may also be required to pay news organizations for the rights to share articles and other copyrighted protected content like scientific papers, something that critics have dubbed a link tax. This will form platforms like YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, etc. to pay people before being allowed to share links. That was a quote from CSNBC. But basically, what that's saying is, before, you could just share as many articles or whatever, as many as you want, without any kind of regulation whatsoever. Now it's saying that maybe these companies are now being susceptible to fines for sharing this content without regulating it. Because, basically, to simple version of this bill, it is transferring responsibility off the creator of the content to the multimedia platform that's being put on for being shared. So now it's for instance, if you made a song, it is no longer your responsibility to make sure your song isn't copied. It's up to Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, so they make sure this stuff is not getting out of hand. That was kind of already in place before, but now it's transferring the songs to more things i.e. memes. Obviously, this has become a very big thing in our culture. We've seen the resurgence of just these kind of memes. It's kind of a weird thing to say, but in my lifetime, they've kind of become very kind of a daily part of life, and political satire, and not just political satire, just for fun. There's a ton of meme pages out there that just literally dedicated to the dankest things possible. And that's like true everywhere. It's a kind of a worldwide kind of like something that we all share in common, I know, for the most part. And apparently some of the leadership in the EU are not the biggest fans of this, which I find troubling. Close. Oof. The guy almost got me. Take that medal, though. Ooh, he had a scar. Money. Where'd all those goodies go? Oh, great. But now I'm super weak. I'll take that. Yeah, but these, in their original form, apparently, many of these... Here, let me get all kind of shelled up before I start discussing the deep stuff. Lit my bandages. So in the Article 13, when its original form, it's saying that companies make it's going to make companies make appropriate and proportionate measures to prevent user-generated contents that infringes a right holder's copyrights. And it was going to be, in its original form, kind of enforced through effective content recognition systems. Pretty much making some robot go on the internet and anything that suspects might be copyright, take it down. That was back in July when this was first introduced, and which blows my mind, which I have not heard about it until now. But it was, in its original form, it was basically going to be like some robot just going on and just taking videos down, which is kind of a big no-no, in my opinion. I just think that would have been too much, like, because the robot doesn't know. And there was a lot of spokesmen that came for, and here's one, I've got a quote from him, Jim Kolak. He said, "This plan is for a robo copyright, would target memes, parodies, clips of people cheering at football." Hold up, guys. Wow, it was bad. But anyway, they would target memes, parodies, clips of people cheering at football matches. Obviously, we're talking about soccer in this quote from this is a guy from the EU. Jim Kolak is an executive director of an anti-censorship organization, Open Rights Group. He told this to CNBC in an email Tuesday. Copyright is important, but so is free speech. So pretty much it's just saying, like, this, in this original form, this robot kind of, like, would have gone on the internet, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, etc., and what would have happened is there would have been a link to a picture, you would have clicked on it if you were from the EU, and it would have said, info not found. That's pretty much what would have happened in its original form. It would have just taken down anything it remotely reviews as a meme. And it might have even affected us in this form. But now they kind of changed it, and that's how I was able to pass this past of the 12th year. It basically made... sorry. It is now up to the companies to do this, and if they don't do this, they're going to be fined money. Which is kind of a harsh thing to do in some forms, because I actually like I think that everyone likes to see the internet as a symbol for, like, kind of freedom of speech. Even if it is dominated by these giant corporations, like, it lets people to get words across, and kind of like it. Obviously, there's been a lot of movements and rebellions that's honestly done through Facebook and Twitter. It is insane that the amount of freedom that the internet has let happen. I mean, obviously things are much, much worse in places like China and Korea. The internet is severely restricted to prevent you from doing anything very free. But this is some place like Europe, which is a very close ally of the US, which you would think would have the same kind of freedom of speech laws. And another thing that some people have kind of spoken about, and I agree with you, if this if it's up to the company to kind of make sure that no copyright is breached, you're gonna make pretty much guarantee whoa you're gonna make sure that the companies are going to let me sure I heal up here, are not going to grow. Other companies besides the big ones are not going to have a chance to grow because they're going to have to worry about this. And while these big companies are going to be able to make sure they actually pay this stuff off, and they can afford it for sure. These are the largest corporations the world has ever seen. The internet has really done wonders for the economy, but it's going to merely make sure that these smaller companies won't have a chance to compete. I just think it is over censorship at its finest, and it's something that we don't understand very well. Instead of dealing with it, they're kind of just scared to face it. I think it's unnecessary and probably a bad idea, but I'm just a junior in college and on a YouTube channel, so what do I know? But I think it might be a bad call on their part. But a lot of people are freaking out about this, especially over here, because it is a huge change in their life. And there's a lot of debate on like how this is actually going to be enforced. Tack, so much better than the pump. Remember that, guys. The tack makes the pump look like shit. But like, just kind of like, what was I saying? Sorry guys, Fortnite can get me off track pretty easily. But it's just like, it might just very well affect us. I mean, obviously we didn't give as much coverage as I'm sure as it got in the EU. It wasn't hard to find it on the internet, obviously, but like, just imagining, it's hard to imagine a place where you click on the comments or you go to your social media and there isn't a meme or a video that you haven't seen 1,000 times before with a different caption on it. I just think it's like, it's just a bad call on their part. It's a little harsh to do. I know they're kind of scared. It gives a lot of freedom of speech, and it does really just kind of show politicians how fast word can spread nowadays. Like, more people are paying attention, at least in America, to politics than ever before. And maybe that's their thought process on it. I don't know. It's just kind of it's different times. It's very different times. I know that. But this thing, Article 11, Article 13, in my opinion, just kind of a bad call. I do agree that they do have to change copyright law, and I haven't really looked into it myself, and I don't have a great kind of alternative to this. So maybe this is the best plan, but I just think they're doing it kind of for the wrong reasons. And like, things like memes and stuff, there's a lot of debate on it. Anyway, because people are just saying it's done on commentary and for parody. It's not meant for them to make money from it, but at the same time, I know you have all those meme pages that get sponsorships from people that just kind of spread it around. And maybe that's where their thought process was. It's definitely a difficult time. Woo! That was intense. I love dropping in Dusty. It's just calm enough that can do it. What in the world? Oh, this is the new Super Fortress. I got pinched. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. Yeah, this video is brought to you by the Random Tangents. Really appreciate you for tuning in, guys. Hopefully Brandon and Jeremy can get in on it next week. But thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it.